Brandon Aiyuk is not happy, Jose.
Oh
Brandon
no.
Aiyuk just unfollowed the 49ers on Instagram. This, I've never seen anything more shocking in my life. I don't see how the 49ers are going to come back from this one. And I think what's next? Is he going to block them too? What do you think of Brandon Aiyuk throwing a hissy fit on social media 2 weeks before the draft?
That it's a common trend now in the NFL for the last several years. It's like so predictable what all these players who are in these contract negotiations with their team always do. And it's always the wide receivers. Like just the way they just act out on social media. This is pretty much like the new generation of players, where there's just, I'm waiting, it's not happening. Let me go ahead, just like unfollow, let me like some post off a tweet. It's been happening for like a month now. When he first did that tweet with Mike Tomlin, like, yo, they're saying we look alike. On the same day, it was rumored or reported or whatever that the Steelers have interest in a trade with him, which no duh, I'm sure every team has an interest in Brandon Aiyuk. And now he's gone on to the next step, unfollow. I think we saw this before 2 years ago with Deebo Samuel closely. I mean, it's obviously happened with a bunch of other players, but, considering we cover the 49ers, we know all this closely. I'm just wondering now what's the next step? When's the trade request coming in? Is it going to happen next week before the draft really comes? Or what's going to happen? Because I feel like now he's just really he's really fully bought in on selling this and getting traction and attention for this social media cryptic messages he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, do you think this was an impulse of his? Do you think it was something he planned on? Do you think it was something that he and his agent talked about?
Probably just himself. I don't know with him and his agent, but honestly, he was on a podcast with or YouTube channel, whatever it is, with Shannon Sharp and Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, like some weeks ago, where he literally admitted, like, oh yeah, I'm having fun with it. Like he literally said, like, oh, I woke up and I seen people were talking about me in the trade, so I was like, screw it, let me go ahead and send this tweet, just have fun. So this is just pretty much what he's doing. He's bored, and he's kind of also, I think he also alluded to the fact where trying to garner attention a little bit, like trying to put the spotlight, like, hey, like trying to get almost. I don't know if he's trying to get, like a case to be made, like getting the fans, the people, a general consensus of people, like give him his money, try to get that charge so he can get that support. But it's definitely, obviously, he's trying to like stir the pot a little bit, have some fun. I think at least on Brandon Aiyuk's point, because there's been other players who do it for dramatic attention, hella diva-ish. But him, I think he's just doing it more just because like it's funny to him, and it's just like, let's just watch everyone freak out, because he knows people are stalking his page on Instagram like that.
I disagree.
Oh.
I think Aiyuk doesn't play like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I just don't think he plays like that. I think I don't know if he's pissed, but I think he's not messing around. I think there's a difference between his negotiation and the one with Deebo and Kittle. So let me try to provide the context I'm thinking of. With Deebo, like, he requested a trade. He did all of this, right? He seemed even more mad, but eventually he met the Niners halfway. Like, what's the word? Compromised. He did not get everything he thought he was worth. Not even close. And he came back kind of with his tail between his legs, and he did it because, I don't know, he thought he was the number one receiver on the team, that the offense was catered to him, and that he was best friends with the head coach. Kittle also met the 49ers in the middle. He didn't get all the money he thought he was deserving of, but at the time he was the go-to guy in the 49ers passing game. Offense was about him. Aiyuk isn't necessarily the focal point of the Niners offense. I mean, he doesn't think he is. And that's sort of, I think, an issue here. And where Deebo and Kittle sort of compromised and met halfway, I don't know that Aiyuk will. He's trying to say that he won't. And the Niners are kind of making noises like he's not budging. And if that's the case, man, he's asking for too much money.
Makes sense if he's asking for too much money. It's always early. Like he's trying to really gouge out the pockets. And I'm pretty sure if you the 49ers, he's like, whoa, calm down. You're not Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb money. Like, what was the thing about Deebo? It was like, okay, at least you don't have other receivers like at least like extremely elite receivers who you got to compete officers, right? He had DK Metcalf and AJ Brown as his comps. Aiyuk, it's like, man, he's got Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. I think I'm forgetting another one that you have to have competing offers with. And it's like, if you don't get him done first, now it's like, okay, this guy's going to really try to like budge and push for a contract similar or close or even somehow exceeding theirs, which is no way in hell you can do that under no circumstance. I understand he's getting better and he's a very prominent player and underutilized, but the point of the fact of the matter remains is his role in this offense is probably not going to be number one worthy. I mean, his stats said it for himself. That's no indictment to him. It's just the style that Kyle Shanahan likes to operate under. But I think in this sense, I feel like it's still for me a little early to judge that he's getting a little ticked off. I feel like it would probably take more noise from his little social media thing. Because I think these guys are just all caught up now in this little fun, this little charades. Like, he like to post, what does it mean? And that's just everything it is now.
I got another difference between him and Debo. Debo wanted to get traded. But what happened was the draft came by and it was pretty clear that teams weren't that interested in Debo. That the money he thought he was worth, there was no team that was going to give it to him. And there was no team that was going to give up high draft picks or multiple firsts, which is what the Niners wanted for him. Aiyuk might be in a different boat. Like, Aiyuk might feel that he really could get the money he's looking for elsewhere from multiple other teams. And if he just doesn't budge, doesn't capitulate, that he'll get it. So maybe and again, the Niners can play hardball here. They can force him to play out his fifth-year option. They can give him the franchise tag. They haven't really moved like that as an organization since John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have been here. They want to take care of guys, right? Like they talked about it with Eric Armstead and DeForest Buckner. I'd be surprised if they did that with Brandon Aiyuk. It'd be a big middle finger to a really good player. And I think players around the league would notice it. So 2 weeks before the draft, Brandon Aiyuk unfollows the 49ers. I think if a team gives the Niners an offer they like, and there's a wide receiver on the board that they like, this could happen. And we're going to talk in a minute about wide receivers who could be on the board. It's a very good class of wide receivers. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I think the only problem with the 49ers is the trade values you can get for these guys, like your compensation for him was like, is that worth a 1-year rental of Brandon Aiyuk if you just kept him? Because all these all these trades that keep going on with these guys, like, it's like, damn, you got like that Stephon Diggs trade, like, damn, that's what you got for him? Like, I understand he's up there in age, like he kind of had a down year, especially towards the end, but he's still a very prominent wide receiver. It's just the double dual fact of not only got to give a fat compensation, but I got to pay this guy pretty lucrative. How do you stomach that, especially in a nice like draft? I looked back at the Deebo Samuel draft, 2 years ago when he was going to get traded, and it looked like a good move. I mean, for the Titans, look, you traded AJ Brown, you drafted Treylon Burks. Like, that was terrible. Other than like the top wide receiver was taken, like it was foolish. It made no sense. Other than that, everyone else was pretty much fine. But I think in this case, like, I don't know how you're the 49ers, you could just like budge on them. You might just be okay with just finally stepping out of that comfort zone, moving away from your patterns of, quote unquote, taking care of them. And I really do think they're going to have him play on his final year of his deal. I think that's the route they're going to go. Not unless something last minute miraculous happens, because they've actually mentioned that, like, oh yeah, we can always play on his last year of his deal. Because that's one thing I've never noticed that John Lynch is, he didn't say that about Bosa, right? He didn't say that about Kittle. He didn't say that about Fred Warner. And I mean, obviously, you couldn't say that about those guys, but Bosa, you didn't say it about them. And it's like, okay, well, with him, why are you saying it with him? So I think that's something that they're really seriously considering. You watch the way the Bengals move with T. Higgins. He's still like there. I mean, they got tagged. I think that's really going to be the route that they go with. That's true. That's what they did with T. Higgins, right? They made him play out his 5th-year option. He's not being traded either. So, I mean, what's going on with that? I think what everyone's telling you, like the NFL is telling you, like the trades for these guys. T. Higgins was the same draft as Aiyuk. Huh? T. Higgins was the same draft as Aiyuk. So he's facing the same issue. Yes. Yes. Or was he? No, he was the same draft. That's true. He was the same draft. 2020, right? He was. Yeah. He was. Because he was taking like 10 spots, 12 spots later. After? Something like that. Second round, early second round, no? Yes. Right. I think it's just the way the NFL is moving, the way they're telling you like how these trades are going on. Like, now where it's good. Like the Texans, it makes sense. Like, okay, we got cap space. We really want to move in. We want to benefit our guy. versus the like it's like what's up with these guys who are owed this second contract that these teams aren't really like budging on. I'm sure obviously something's getting feelers across the scene. I think the temperature might get really turned up on draft day. And like you said, I think with Brandon Aiyuk, his unfollowing on Instagram, that's kind of maybe his way of like trolling and also trying to turn up the heat. Like, hey, time's a ticking. There might be other teams. Because at the end of the day, I don't think Brandon Aiyuk cares who's paying him. He just wants to get paid. You know, all this thing about loyalty, like he just wants to get paid somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think I think he feels he could get paid more elsewhere. I think he feels he could get more targets elsewhere. And I think he's, of all the offensive players who have been up for extensions with the 49ers, I think he's the least inclined to resign, to make a deal. Maybe I'm wrong, but him doing this today kind of seems like he's sending a message like, hey guys, trade me. Draft's coming up. Don't miss this opportunity. There's going to be teams interested who would pay me what I want, and I'd rather go there. I'm making it clear right now, I don't want to be on your team. I'm not going to officially request trade, but I'm not following you on social media anymore. I don't want to be here. I don't like your offer. I don't want to mess around with this anymore. I don't like Parag Marate. I don't want to play these games, man. Get me the hell out of here. I don't know. If I were another team, I'd be calling the Niners right now. A team that had a quarterback who was either a rookie or was about to get drafted. Any team that's about to draft a quarterback, you know who they could use? A great wide receiver. They could really use that guy. It could really help his development. So, New England, Washington, Minnesota, they have Jefferson, but
I just can't fall for these social media traps like this because this is all these
hijinks.
Everyone does, and it never works. It never has zero impact on contract negotiations. I'm just thinking of it because, like I said, how he said, and I can respect the trolliness, how he's doing it, and I don't ever got the sense that that Brandon is that dramatic. Whereas Debo, I kind of felt like he was serious. Like he literally told the reporter, or it was sourced, like, yeah, I want to get traded. Like he was extremely impatient. At least Brandon is more or less just like, let's just see what we can mess with today. I feel like things won't start to get turned up until it's like, he skipped OTAs. It's gonna be typical. He's not gonna go to OTAs. He's not gonna be seen.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I do want to say one thing though. Like if the Niners make him play out his 5th-year option, maybe that'd be a good thing because the last few times I've given guys extensions, they haven't really played well right after the extension.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean?
You know what? That might be the 49ers' fault why they always wait so long, though. For at least a couple of them, right? Debo Samuel. So that's kind of their own doing. And I still cannot fathom, like, what's the benefit they get from waiting that long? I'm not saying, like, you got to extend your guys March or even April, right? Like, no duh, there's free agency, there's draft. But, like, how do you not have a track record of getting people done in May or June? Like, how do you not get that done? I don't understand the benefit of waiting too long. It hurts you. It's proven that that's hurting you. Debo Samuel, late to training camp. He was fat.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything. Nick Bosa didn't start turning up until like week 7 and 8, 9, 10. What's going to happen with Aiyuk?
Final question. And then we're going to talk about other wide receivers in the draft. Do you think Aiyuk will formally request a trade before the draft?
I still formally no. Informally, I think it's possible because I see him doing more of the AJ Brown route, where if he really wants to seriously get paid, and that's the way it works, to do it that way. And AJ Brown was the one who actually got traded. Metcalf was like quiet, he didn't care, just pay me. Debo Samuel, like, I'm not happy, I don't want to be used as running back no more. Yeah. Trade me. AJ Brown just like, I want to be here and stayed quiet. I think Aiyuk's going to be more of that, I'm going to stay quiet route. I'm not going to like put this out there. More like, I think he's having these talks like, yo, so what's up? Like, you guys are going to trade me? That was the best time. Because Aiyuk knows is the best time to get traded right now until the end of the draft. I feel like there's going to be like some noise where you're going to hear a report like, oh yeah, Niners hearing some things. Like it's going to be like a mid-draft thing versus like something of a lead up. I don't know. I just got like this weird feeling that that's something that's going to pop up. I feel like that's the way he operates with how Aiyuk is like, in this little low-key sense, even though he's kind of making it a little weird with his unfollowing the 49ers.
Yeah. Gerardo says, official BNA Music 88 says, we were so close to the Mond to Brandon Aiyuk connection. Now both guys could be gone. I like that the Saints got Mond. I thought that was A good move. Gerardo Rangel says, I don't know if it matters. I know we're thinking about Bowers, but I can confirm that he isn't interested in playing on the West Coast. He wants the bag, source him. Oh, well, thanks. Appreciate it.